force it. Trying to focus on what's important. Gotta root back down to the floor again. Then I branch back out to the...
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, wherever y'all are going to be watching this today. My name is Kate. I'm the youth and diary historian here at the Holocaust Museum here in Houston. This week has been crazy. It's been filled with sadness and filled with mourning. And I had a speech written down usually on paper, but I felt that speaking from my heart is what I think this woman would want me to do. Because I know my feelings are very much the same as hers. So, today, we remember my friend and Holocaust survivor, Ava Ginzova, or Chava Pressburger. She was born on February the 21st, 1930 in Prague, and she was the youngest of two. She had a brother, and his name was Peter, and he was born on February the 1st, 1928. I know how she spoke of her childhood in Prague was wonderful until she said life changed when the Germans rolled in, and they changed their lives forever. In October of 1942, her brother Peter, he was deported to Theresienstadt or Terezin. And in May of 1944, Chava herself was deported there. Now, Chava's English name, we would say, would be Ava Ginzova. So that's what she was known as, Ava Ginzova. So she was deported in May of 1944, and while she was there, she began a diary, just like her brother. And she wrote about how horrible the conditions were, how things were terrible, but also how protective she was of Peter. As she said, I became more of a mother than a sister, and he became more of an educator. She learned many things when she was in Terezin. She learned how to speak English from Peter, which Peter said would be a very important language to know. He was right. She learned shorthand. She learned a lot of other things that she was able to learn. However, in September of 1944, Peter was taken from her, and he was deported to Auschwitz. She was on her own, it seemed. But her father was deported to Terezin not too much later after that, but both of them miraculously survived. And their mother survived as well. After the war, it seemed very complicated. She found out about her brother's death, and that really changed the family dynamics. But in 1949, after she married her husband, Chava Pressburger, they moved to Israel, and that is where they remained for the next decade, it seems. They had two lovely children. One of them I happen to know very well. And not only was Chava an amazing person, but she also was an amazing artist, just like Peter was as well. The thing that I love about Chava's art is that she took, that's actually one of my favorite things, I'll have to share it with you guys. She took one of Peter's pictures and she made like a beautiful collage out of it. And that was very, very nice. We have Olivia here with us today. Y'all kind of probably see. Let's see. Yes. Anyway. Anywho, the thing that I really appreciated about Chava is that she took the pain that she went through and she turned it into art. And she had many art exhibitions all over the world, including one here at this Holocaust Museum that I am standing in. I have the pleasure and honor, I'm so sorry if I'm getting a little emotional, it's because I loved her very much. I have the pleasure and honor of knowing Chava. I met her in 2011. I was a first-year college student, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Holocaust studies was a big thing for me. And I reached out to Yad Vashem, who got us connected. So thank you to them. And the very first time we got in touch was through email. And the email was very sweet, said I'm more than happy to answer any questions about Peter or myself. And then we began talking. And the more that we talked through email or through other ways of communication, I felt more close. And when I was able to know the family the last couple of years, it made me realize how the warmth that she had spread to others. Chava had not been doing well for the past couple of years, and I guess several years more than I know. And her daughter, who I know dearly, who means so much to me, she kept me updated. And on September 3rd, 2022, Chava lost the battle to the illness that had been plaguing her for a while. I always say a death is a tragedy, but a Holocaust survivor's death is even worse. And I'll tell you why. First of all, you're losing a part of history that she will never get back. And I think for Chava, the world lost its light. At least it did for me. She didn't have to be kind. She didn't have to be sweet. She could have been bitter. She could have shoved Peter down. She could have not published his book or his diary, which you see behind me. She could have been mean. But she didn't choose to be that way. She was gracious and kind and very encouraging. Her heart was so warm and so big, and I always recall our emails and conversations that we were able to have. And one of the conversations that I remember that we had, she always said that Peter and I are in your hands. Whatever you like to do with our legacy is what you hold. And I know that legacy is very important, especially here. And Ava, or Chava, as she took her Hebrew name, is mentioned in our diary exhibit. I will say that Chava and Peter are probably one of my favorite people when I study them. I have them in my little book that I use. I talk about Chava every tour. There's not a tour that I don't mention Peter and her. But I think the most hardest thing when I first found out that she passed, I know that the family definitely tried to prepare everyone for it, but it still hit like a brick wall. She was just a marvelous person who had a big heart, who was extremely talented in every way. She was a wonderful wife, a wonderful mother, and grandmother, and I'm sure great-grandmother. She always told me her biggest revenge on the Germans was having children. And she always said to me that it was a loss for her not to know Peter as an adult. And I think all mankind lost out, but I think all mankind is going to lose out on knowing her too. She was 92. So glad she made it to 90. But I know that when she passed away, that Peter definitely held her hand, and they walked home. And she is with her husband, her mother, her father, and her beloved brother. As you go in the rest of the year, I'd like you to take this moment to remember that survivors like Chava are very rare and far between. Reach out to one, talk to them. I'm so glad I did with her. I miss her. The world has not been the same without her. And I know, I always say it's scared to know what life without her is like. But I love her dearly, and I know we all do here at the museum, and I miss her a great deal. But I know that she's not suffered where she is. And knowing her has definitely been one of the greatest joys that I've ever had. And I'm sure anybody who knew her would say the same. Thank you. And I hope that you have a good day, or good evening, or good night. And I hope that you will reach out to a survivor and love them as much as I love you. Have a great day.
And it's very far away.
I'm sure he will be delighted.
I'm pretty sure as well, yeah.